Hi, everyone. We're about to get started. Bruce, can you say you're there? I kind of lost you for a second.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Great.
Great.
It's 1:01 with my time, so I think we can get started. I think Ahmad is going to give us the ground rules for proper behavior during the AMA. Go ahead, Ahmad. Ahmad? Okay.
Maybe on mute.
Right. Ahmad, we can't hear you.
Hello?
Oh, yes. Okay. Go ahead, Ahmad.
Yeah, sorry, you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Cool, yeah. So hi, everyone. My name is Ahmad. So we'll start this with a presentation from Dr. Tromberg, our director. We will keep everyone muted, and we'll allow questions at the end where you can unmute and ask. We are recording this session, and I am about to put a link in the chat box for captioning if you'd like that. I think that's everything.
Okay. I'm going to take a second to say hello to everyone before introducing Dr. Tromberg. So hello, everyone. My name is Zeynep Erim, and I'm the director of NIBIB's Division of Interdisciplinary Training. Our division leads NIBIB's efforts in training, workforce development, and diversity and inclusion. I want to quickly welcome you all to this meeting, which was planned as a two-day meeting, in-person meeting for NIBIB-funded trainees and training grant PIs. The pandemic forced us to postpone that to the July of 2021, and we're looking forward to connect with you in person then. Till then, we plan this AMA to briefly discuss the opportunities NIBIB offers to junior investigators and answer any questions you may have. As the online format that the pandemic forced us into relieved also the restrictions of space and cost, we opened this meeting up to not only our trainees, but also those who wish to become one. We hope that today's session will help some more of you to join the ranks of NIBIB trainees so that next year at the grantees meeting, we can see all of you. Before starting to introduce Dr. Tromberg, I want to take a second to thank you all for joining us in this especially challenging period. Each one of our lives has been affected to some degree by the pandemic, and now we are having an important national conversation about racial injustice. For those that are directly affected by either or both, I wish you strength and fortitude. And for each and every one of us, I hope we have the power and the resolve to fight injustice and discrimination wherever we see them. I'm pleased that you could all be here today, and I look forward to a lively discussion about funding opportunities and how to secure NIH funding for your research. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Bruce Tromberg, who is the director of the National Institute of Biomedical Imaging and Bioengineering. Before becoming the NIBIB director in January of 2019, Dr. Tromberg was a professor in the Departments of Biomedical Engineering and Surgery at the University of California at Irvine. He served as director of UCI's Beckman Laser Institute and Medical Clinic from 2003 to 2018, and for more than 20 years, he was the PI of the Laser Microbeam Medical Program, an NIH National Biomedical Technology Resource Center. Dr. Tromberg has co-authored more than 450 publications and holds 18 patents for biophotonics technologies and their applications in areas such as cancer, neuroscience, and vascular disease. Bruce is not only a most eloquent and enthusiastic advocate of bioengineering and its potential to impact human health, but is also truly dedicated to training and the development of the next generation of bioengineering investigators. It gives me great pleasure to pass on the screen to him.
Thank you so much, Zeynep. Thank you, and welcome to all of you. It's really my privilege to be able to be here, and I apologize that it's so short. I really, when Zeynep was envisioning this meeting and we were so excited about having a chance to have a couple of days and have speakers and lots of interactive sessions, and of course all that has changed, but we are committed to that. We're committed to all of you. As Zeynep mentioned, training is foundational for our field, for our field perhaps more than any other at the NIH, in the sense that first, it's very fast moving and very fast growing, and there are a number of skill sets that are evolving and must be brought to bear on being able to do engineering and imaging-based research. So you can see our mission, which is to transform through engineering the understanding of disease and its prevention, detection, diagnosis, and treatment. This is a true, beautiful, multidisciplinary effort that our community has taken on and grown so much in the past few decades. And we are very privileged to be the only institute at the NIH that has as its central mission engineering and physical science in biology and medicine. And so I think all of you know that. This is your home, and we're particularly happy to be part of that and to help facilitate and grow that. So that's probably the most important message I can communicate. All the rest is going to be some interesting, maybe hopefully interesting things about what we're doing. But foundationally, you are so important for our field. This is right at the core of our mission. So I have a very brief presentation for you, and hopefully we'll have some time for questions as well. As I just was really describing, and this is our mission and our vision for the future, it's intertwined and critically dependent on training an entirely new generation, really, of workforce with new skills and capabilities. We're engineering the future of health, and our areas of focus across NIBIB span across multiple domains. Engineered biology, reprogramming biologic systems, if you will, sensors and point-of-care technologies. Those may be wearable, they may be bedside, they may be implantable sensing technologies. We support imaging technologies from portable and bedside imaging approaches like ultrasound to the biggest MRI scanners that you can imagine, with the most sophisticated and complex instrumentation and computational approaches associated with them. And we also support therapeutic devices, the application of energy using externally delivered sources like focused ultrasound for deep brain surgery, but also implantable devices driving bioelectric phenomena, biophotonic phenomena, and coupling between the delivery of energy and molecular activation. And right in the middle of all of this is modeling, computation, machine intelligence. I think probably the one feature that binds us all together. We're really distributed across a broad domain of technologies, but the one common feature, I think, of our community is the interest and passion to be able to represent these processes in the context of some sort of symbolic or mathematical framework. So modeling, computation, machine intelligence, they are all critical components of all of the technologies around the center. Not only do they help inform how to build and design those technologies, we're always using computational approaches to extract more meaningful information from measurements that we're doing. And all of this sort of distills down to, in a kind of an understandable way, for our big picture challenge, which is to understand, prevent, and detect disease. We like to use these technologies and are using them to personalize diagnosis and treatment, extend health span, we have an opportunity as a community to think about how we can capitalize on the relentless advances in technologies to reduce costs and barriers to access so that they're more equitably and evenly distributed across our population. And of course, to drive innovation, entrepreneurship. Many of the things that our community is working on are way ahead of where you might think conventional industry and technology, even technology-based industry, is sitting. And we're actually seeing this collision right now in the COVID crisis, and I'll expand a little bit more on that. But driving innovation and changing how people do healthcare and deliver healthcare is really at the core of why we're trying to push these technologies so hard. With the COVID crisis, we've been in a very unique position that we've never found NIBIB in before. We've had two congressional supplements, the third supplement and the fourth supplement, which involved very significant new appropriations for NIBIB to help contribute to several of the problems that we're facing. The first one, supplement number 3, was for $60 million. And at the time, we thought this was pretty impressive. We'd never had anything like it before. And we put together a series of notices of special interest and launched some new programs that were designed to stimulate ways to rapidly support funding for a variety of different areas. And I've summarized a few of them here. Rapid point of care and home-based testing and diagnostics, wearable and implantable and remote sensors and imagers for physiologic monitoring, medical imaging technologies, modeling, algorithms, AI for both detection and diagnosis, looking at lung infection, and also tracking and predicting disease, undergoing surveillance. Non-contact sensing and imaging for mass screening, and digital health platforms that integrate data, use computational approaches to assess risk, and potentially provide surveillance and management tools for public health. Those are just a few of the components or the elements of those special notices, and there are several others. And you can imagine, and you probably, some of you may already be working on many of these things, can imagine there are many opportunities for bringing and integrating technology into solutions or countermeasures for the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, it wasn't too long after that initial appropriation, which happened in March, that at the end of April, we were very fortunate to receive, as part of a $1.8 billion supplement to the NIH, $500 million went to NIBIB for SARS-CoV testing. And just to give you a sense of the scale of that for us, we as an institute are one of the smaller institutes in terms of our budget. Our normal budget is about $400 million per year. So quite suddenly, we received a total that really significantly exceeded our annual budget. And we were charged with building up new programs that could help support significant advances in technology to help solve some of these problems for the country, actually for the world. So that $500 million appropriation has been focused and was legislated specifically for developing testing and diagnostic technologies. So that very first one. So it's a very concentrated bolus injection for us to be able to help contribute to those problems. And I'll just briefly go into a little bit of detail on what we're doing with that. I'll try to wrap things up so that I know that I'm sure all of you have questions. We launched first that $1.8 billion for the NIH was signed into law on April 24th. And we were able to launch on April 29th an entirely new program called Rapid Acceleration of Diagnostics, or RADX, that's designed to innovate in a variety of different ways. One, we want to expand the number, the type, and the access and the throughput of testing technologies. If you may recall, back when this appropriation was under discussion in mid-April, the nation was only doing about 150,000 SARS-CoV-2 tests per day, which is incredibly low considering the many different use case scenarios or user communities, which I have at the bottom of the slide, that really needed testing. And much of the focus was on testing symptomatic people. And now, as we're pivoting away from only symptomatic folks and thinking about pre-symptomatic, asymptomatic, and undergoing surveillance in a variety of different settings as we think about how to return to, I guess, more normal. I mean, probably things will never exactly go back to the way they were before, but how to return to more normal work and life in the age of SARS-CoV-2. So we need to increase many different types of platforms here, and with the innovation, we're hoping to optimize the technology's performance so that they're really matching the needs of all of these different user communities. And we're looking at platforms that span from home-based to point of care to hospital, complex laboratory testing. So there's opportunities for improving performance and both technical and operational in all of these types of platforms, so they benefit all of the use cases and user communities. And we were able to get this going so quickly, in part because we had some existing programs, but conceptually what we're looking at is investing in technologies that will give us many more tests per day. We'd like to see in the 6 to 10 million tests per day range by the end of the year. So that means investing in scaling up of existing technologies as well as radical innovation and novel technologies. And today we're really pretty much looking at lab-based approaches, complex lab approaches, but that are much more dominant over simpler point of care, less expensive approaches. And in the future, over the coming months, we expect that number will shift so that as we progress with this initiative and as our field generally grows, the technologic base, point of care technologies will be much more abundant and easier to deliver with greater access to a variety of different communities than the laboratory ones. Although certainly laboratory-based technologies will always be there as a foundational element of testing. And we were able to get this off the ground because we had already a network, the Point of Care Technologies Research Network, or POCTERN, in place since 2007. It's one of the signature networks of the NIBIB, and there are 5 sites that are core sites in the network. However, people from all over the country are submitting applications and ideas to this network, which has a review, evaluation, testing, validation, and clinical assessment components within the network. The centerpiece or the coordinating center is at CIMMIT at MGH. And then we have 4 different technology hubs or nodes in the network at Johns Hopkins, Georgia Tech Emory, Northwestern, and UMass. And they all have complementary areas of expertise. They provide people and support and resources. And all the technologies or projects that come into the network are evaluated in this very rigorous way that has been developed by CIMMIT over the years that assesses everything from clinical need to standard of care. Now, what I really want to emphasize here, this network has been in existence and has been very successful in getting our community to develop and validate, commercialize, and disseminate point-of-care technologies for several years. The normal time period for this is about 5 to 6 years for in vitro testing technologies. And the ambitious idea it has been for us to try to compress all of this and get things done as soon as 5 to 6 months. So we're compressing, really hopefully not trying to violate the laws of physics, but it's a very ambitious effort. And in part, we think it can happen because rather than trying to identify multiple disparate sources of funding that you often have to find for startups or for new ventures, we are as the NIH, really a Series A, Series B, and Series C round investor with the $500 million that we can provide to help facilitate this. In addition, the market is very well identified. It's SARS-CoV-2 testing. This isn't even serologic testing, which is also an activity that's going on throughout the NIH. This is very focused on direct virus testing. So this is my last slide, and it's a snapshot of the concept as well as where we are in terms of numbers. We launched this national call at the end of April, and within 24 hours, it was really amazing to see about 400 applications started on the pocturn.org website. About 1,000 in the first week were well over 2,000 started applications. Now, in order to start to get reviewed, you have to have a complete application. And I just checked, as of noon today, we had 494 complete applications. After they're evaluated in roughly a day as to whether or not they will go into this innovation funnel. And the first phase is a deep dive. Some of you may have heard of the Shark Tank process. That's us. It's really just a week-long evaluation of the project with a half a dozen experts who thoroughly evaluate the strengths and the weaknesses and the opportunities and threats, and create kind of a work plan. If you're recommended to go forward, we'll redirect you to some other funding source. Now, 66 teams have been through the deep dive process, and moving beyond that, 14 of those teams have been recommended for phase 1 funding, which may be anywhere from, let's say, a few $100,000 to a few $1 million. The next big step is phase 2. So phase 1, we're just moving our teams into that where there's a significant amount of validation and risk review. In phase 2, teams can receive from a few million to tens of millions of dollars that will facilitate their full scale-up, dealing with regulatory, manufacturing, and distribution issues. And all of those capabilities are baked into our network as part of the process. So any project that emerges will have FDA, EUA, emergency use authorization clearance, as well as have a very well-defined and clearly motivated target for manufacturing and distribution. So I'll stop there. That's where we are with some of the things that are going on in RADx and how it connects to the big picture view of NIBIB. And I'll take some questions.
So people can write their questions in the chat box, or perhaps even try unmuting yourself and asking your question.
If you'd like to raise your hand, we can unmute you and you can speak to ask a question.
I have a question while people are giving their thoughts. Are we funding RADx only through Pocturn at this time, Bruce?
That's a really good question. We have a lot of different mechanisms to fund these kinds of projects. So Pocturn is one, and we can supplement the Pocturn network, which can then fund an investigator from anywhere in the country. So all these projects, the 492 projects, are coming from all over the country. We have 41, at last count, states that have representation in terms of submission. And Pocturn is a fast way for us to get money to those projects. But we also have a variety of different approaches through subcontracts that we've awarded to longtime partners like VentureWell. And we also can award supplements, and we are also taking regular submissions of grant proposals that are related to that additional pot of money, the $560 million.
Great. We have one question related. It says, what about projects directly correlated to COVID-19, like neuroimaging projects?
Well, those are still absolutely ongoing and part of our core activities and mission. We've just been, some of us have been heavily diverted by this urgent national need, but all of the other areas that I mentioned right at the beginning, with applications in neuroscience and cardiovascular disease and and technology development that impacts everything in biology and medicine, those are all still ongoing, and you can use all of our traditional routes. What is different about the COVID projects is it's a special kind of emergency allocation of money that we're trying to apply in a very quick and focused way to solve some of these urgent pressing needs.
Great. There's a quick question about RADx still being open to new applications, and maybe we can add how long will that be?
Yes, so these are rolling submissions, and we are still seeing about 100 new applications started every week. And we don't have plans at this point to stop the process. We recognize a lot of the time pressure is that we're hoping, and as everyone is going back to school in the fall, there's going to be a surge in need for testing as we look at comorbidities of other pathogens like influenza. It's very important to be able to have testing capacity that can potentially detect both. So this is a big rush, but at the same time, we're also investing in longer-term approaches that could take many more months to come to fruition. And we have a whole variety of different programs that are distributing risk in a sense. So we're looking at longer term as well.
Great. There's a question about the distribution of the 14 finalists, as in industry, academic, research groups, etc.
Yeah. So we're seeing small companies, overall, small companies are roughly 250 small companies are in, so approximately half of the applications, and about roughly 2 to 1 small companies to academic groups. So about half that number coming from academic groups, maybe 120 or so, but we're also seeing medium-sized as well as large companies submit concepts. The group of 14 they're not actually finalists yet. There still is a way for them to go. We're anticipating, that's called phase 1 or work package 1, and they need to hit certain milestones, certain targets to make it into phase 2, where they would become finalists at that point and receive larger resources so that they can move into more widespread manufacturing and distribution. And the ratio of projects there is roughly the same as the overall distribution. We have a few academic groups, a few small companies, mostly small companies, but a few mid-sized companies as well.
2 questions before we let you go. Maybe you can combine the answer. One of them is environmental testing for COVID. Is that part of the project, the initiative? And how much work is involved in preparation of RADx applications? Is it more or less like an R1 or an R21?
Yeah, so environmental testing is definitely part of the RADx program more globally. We have different RADXs at the NIH now, and we have a website that you can go to and look at. We have projects that are demonstration projects in underrepresented populations, RADx Up. We have very far forward looking projects called RADx Rad, and We have another one that's called RADx ATP. So in some of those other areas, there are environmental testing activities going on, but RADx Tech is very much specifically focused on advancing testing platforms, making them more portable, making them have better performance, or scaling up existing platforms so that you can dramatically increase throughput. In terms of the work on the applications, so if you look at the pocturn.org website, it's extremely low barrier to get your application in. The hard part is spending the week in the deep dive with the teams. So it's very different from the traditional process. And we've been able to, through this process, fund groups in less than 30 days. So from the idea, putting in the application, to being able to get money, this is all very, very different. It's a big experiment. It's really never been done at the NIH and maybe not even in government before. Hard to explain how remarkable it's been to go in only 5 days from an appropriation to a fully functioning program. I'm sorry that I do have to jump off, but maybe, Zeynep, if you could capture some of the questions and get them to me, and I'm very eager. We can even follow up with another one if you want. Now that it's, I guess the good and the bad part of WebEx and Zoom is that we can have a meeting anytime. So we could have multiple meetings, you know, we can have shorter ones, but I just really want to thank everybody and re-emphasize my appreciation and the importance of all of you in what we're trying to do in the future as a community. So thank you again.
Great. Thank you very much, Bruce. And we'll follow up with you for sure.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye. We are going to move on to a presentation by Dr. Joan Grieve. Dr. Grieve holds a BS from the University of Washington and a PhD from Stanford, both in bioengineering. Joan's background makes her makes the perfect training officer to advise young investigators on career paths in bioengineering. Her unique career path includes PhD work combining MRI and computational fluid dynamics modeling of the cardiovascular system. Later on, a position within the biomedical imaging group at Genentech, where she led its preclinical MRI lab and also helped to translate an antibody to treat Alzheimer's disease. And more recently, a faculty position at the University of Michigan's Biomedical Engineering Department, where she led its 70 preclinical MRI lab, while her research team pursued precision approaches in preclinical studies. Her work spans MRI, CT, ultrasound, PET, and optical methods, as well as numerous rodent models of human disease. In March, Joan joined NIBIB's Division of Training, where she's serving as a program director, and she took over the management of NIBIB's individual training grants. She's going to give us an overview of these right now before we move on to your questions. Joan? Joan, are you speaking? Joan, I think you need to unmute.
I apologize, you guys. When I went to share my screen, I lost all of the other controls. Sorry about that. Let me share my screen again and confirm that you can see it. Just a moment. Excellent. And so the two questions we seem to start off with these days, can you hear me and can you see my PowerPoint slides? Awesome. Let me put this into presentation mode. Excellent. Hi, everyone. I'm Joan Grieve. And before we get started, I wanted to acknowledge that I hope that you hear the joy in my voice today, because I'm very excited to be here with all of you. But like my fearless leader, Zeynep, I also want to acknowledge the challenging times that our communities face. and I'm not ignorant of that. And many of us may be feeling hurt by it, as well as facing physical, mental, and spiritual health challenges at this time. So thank you for letting me share that. And I hope that we can have a joyful and fruitful discussion today. So the second part of our talk with you today is to provide you with an overview of training grant mechanisms offered by NIBIB. I had the honor of joining NIBIB in March of this year. I am led by the leadership of Dr. Zainab Aram, and I have the wonderful honor of working with a great biomedical engineer, Ahmad El Hendawi. To acknowledge the fact that we did actually look at your questions that you submitted, because there's nothing worse than submitting information and then thinking that nobody sees it, is it shaped our slides. And it turns out we realized that we needed to give you a 30-second overview of the structure of NIH as well as NIBIB. And so I'll remind everybody that it's the National Institutes of Health. And so how many institutes and centers are there? 5, 10, 15? It turns out that there are actually 27. And here we are over here, NIBIB, which was actually formed in 2000. So how is NIBIB structured? And we have 4 divisions, and what I have supplied here, and we will be sending you a PDF of these slides, are the links to each one of our divisions' web pages that show you the program areas of interest as well as the scientific program contacts. So we have the Division of Applied Science and Technology, or bioimaging, and what you can actually see here is all the modalities are represented in addition to the imaging agents and even image-guided interventions. Our second division is the Division of Discovery Science and Technology. We like to refer to this as bioengineering. And here you're going to see robotics and synthetic biology, as well as some mathematical modeling. And pardon me for just a second, I'm getting an error on my screen, just a moment. Oh, I apologize, you guys. Sorry about that. Let me hop back into presentation mode. Awesome, so that is our second division, which is considered bioengineering. Our third division is the Division of Health Informatics and Technologies, and this is where you're going to find things like artificial intelligence and machine learning, the point of care technologies that Bruce just mentioned, or things like telehealth. So yes, I did save the best for last, or at least that's what I think. We are the Division of Interdisciplinary Training. And putting these intro slides together, this is the symbol that came to mind for me, which is a 4-leaf clover, because I feel lucky for at least 2 reasons, is that in training and the mechanisms that I'm going to tell you about today, we're worried about helping you obtain the best training that you possibly can, but the science involved in your awards helps us to interface with all the other divisions. And then the most important reason that I feel lucky is that I'm very excited to be able to help you be as successful as you can throughout your career path. And one of the ways that we do that is that NIBIB offers funding opportunities to support scientists at every stage of their career, undergraduate all the way through senior faculty. And we're going to talk about all of these mechanisms today. Another way to actually view that information, however, since I like to, when I'm learning something, look at information in different ways, are these roadmaps or infographics, the links that we've actually supplied to you. And so we are going to go through all the mechanisms that are demarcated with red arrows, as well as this red text. But when you look at this later, tune into the fact that there are also other mechanisms listed here that are offered by other institutes and centers. This is the pathway for the PhDs, and we also have an infographic for our physician scientists. So let's start at the very beginning, and that would lead us to our Fs, or individual fellowships. And I want to stop and tell you about who these are named after. These take us to Dr. Ruth Kirschstein, and these are also known as NRSA, or National Research Service Awards. Dr. Kirschstein was a pathologist and a remarkable person. She was also the first woman to actually be a director of one of the institutes, and I believe that she also was appointed as interim director of the entire NIH for a short period. So the fellowships that I'll tell you about today are listed here, and I'll start by sharing common elements amongst them. You must be a citizen, non-citizen, national, or permanent resident. You must have an identified sponsor and a defined research training plan, and individual fellows apply through their university or institution. In the application itself, there is the applicant, you, who must be high quality or demonstrate high quality past experience, both from your academic record as well as your research record. You're going to have at least one sponsor or a team of sponsors who have the appropriate scientific background and experience with mentoring you at this particular career stage. And they also need to have funding to support your research. The research training plan can be considered bipartite or have two parts. The first one is a research project, which of course is going to be high quality, but then the goals and the timelines need to be appropriate for the given career stage, either pre-doctoral or postdoctoral. There's also a training component to it. And the importance of this is that should convince us that this application, this award will enhance your career development into a productive researcher. And of course, the institutional environment should be supportive of training. What we would very much like to encourage you to do throughout this talk is that when you're ready to submit an award, a training award, we want you to contact us to submit an inquiry. And the importance of this inquiry is twofold. We want to be able to assess the fit of your science to the NIBIB mission, and we want to check on your eligibility. And so your specific aims, which reflect your science, are how we actually see if it fits the NIBIB mission. Because again, a different way to actually say our mission is that we support novel technology development that is generalizable to more than one disease, condition, tissue, or organ, rather than the investigation of a single disease or biological system. And then to check on your eligibility, we will look at your CV and biosketch. And the other thing that I want to emphasize is, I think that we might have close to 300 people online, and there are 3 of us. And we are extremely excited to be helping you. But what I want to emphasize is that you do need to reach out to us early, be organized about it. And so I would recommend that you should have your specific aims ready to go, your biosketch ready to go, and reach out to us at least 1 month in advance of submission. So the F30 is actually for MD, PhD fellows at institutions that don't have an MSTP program. And although I'm not going to read through all of these bullet points, what you're going to start seeing are the different requirements for each of the mechanisms. One thing that I do want to highlight in relationship to NRSA support, which also includes the T32, is that there is a limitation onto the total number of years that you can actually have. So the F31 that NIBIB participates in is in relationship to promoting diversity in the workforce. You can see the duration of the funding, again, limitation on how much aggregate NRSA funding you can have. And I do want to emphasize that right now NIBIB does not participate in the parent F31. For this mechanism, you'll be in a PhD program, and this is to support you after you've passed your qualifying exam and are doing full-time research. However, it takes about 9 months to actually submit an award, have it reviewed, and have it awarded if you're successful. And so you could submit this prior to your qualifying exam, and depending on how your qualifying exam is set up, if you have to produce a written document for your committee, then maybe it could be something like this, and you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're gonna do great in your qualifying exam, and then you also have an application that you could submit to us or another institute at NIH. Then we have the F32, which is postdoctoral fellowship, and again, you can see the duration. And here I'm going to emphasize that for this particular mechanism, you need to have completed your PhD. And strong applications demonstrate an established relationship with the postdoc mentor already, and the application must come from the postdoc institution. And specific for NIBIB is that priority will be given to applicants who propose to work with a different mentor than their doctoral research mentor, and preferably at a different institution. And this is another form of diversity, actually. This is diversity of scientific thought by going to another institution or going to another mentor. Now, I just took you through these particular requirements for the F32 offered by NIBIB. However, NIBIB is also tied into the BRAIN Initiative postdoctoral fellowship. And what you're going to see here is slightly different duration of support. And in this situation, the application should be coming from an individual who has not yet completed their doctoral degree, but who expects to do so in approximately 12 months. But the other bound that you need to fit into is that the candidate may not have completed more than 6 months of postdoctoral training. And so last but not least, I also want to emphasize that this due date was extended to July 8th. So if any of you out there are listening and you have work that is appropriate for the BRAIN initiative and it might fall into this bucket in relationship to also NIBIB, please submit. Excellent. So we have successfully made it through grad school and we are heading into our postdoc. And now we're going to start talking about K awards, which really come into play as a senior postdoc or even an early investigator. So first of all, what is a K award? This is an individual career development award, and this is for mentored support for basic and clinical investigators who are transferring to independence, changing their research focus, or need protected time for research. And that last one is very important for our physician scientists. They come in a few different flavors here. And before I tell you more about that, let's look at the common elements that these awards share. So the applicant must, again, demonstrate the potential for highly productive independent research. The research plan needs to be strong and justify why there needs to be a dedicated period of mentored research and career development activities. Here, instead of sponsors, your advisors are called mentors. And again, they must cover, their expertise must cover all areas involved in the new aspects of the research. There's a career development plan, and this can include coursework, seminars, meetings, workshops, in addition to the research training. And here is the linchpin or the key to these awards, is that you need to demonstrate clear integration between the training goals, the career development plan, and your science, which is often represented in your specific aims. So the result of these K awards is that the awardee at the end of it should be able to provide a timeline on how and when they will be able to achieve independent funding, such as an R01. Again, we would like to emphasize, please send us an inquiry. And in this case, for the K01 and the K25, we actually also need to assess whether there is a career redirection. So since there's a little bit more information in these, we actually have eligibility forms that we want you to fill out. They are not onerous, and all the links that I have provided will take you to our webpage, and the eligibility form can be found there. And again, your specific aims, your CV biosketch, and I know that you're going to be ahead of the game and send it to me at least 1 month in advance. So let's actually start with the K99 R00s. So this is typically 2 years of funding and then three years of funding respectively. This could be for PhDs or MDs. And some of the ones that we actually participate in are the Parent Award, and you're going to start seeing that, again, the requirements are specific to the actual mechanism. Another one that we support is the Mosaic, which is to promote diversity in the workforce. Here we have the same limitation on the number of years of postdoc, but I apologize. What I forgot to say in the K99 Parent is that there is no citizenship requirement. Whereas for the Mosaic, you must be a citizen, non-citizen, national, or permanent resident. And then the third mechanism that we participate in here is, again, related to the BRAIN initiative. And in this situation, you have 1 additional year of postdoc that you are allowed. We also have awards called K01 and K25, and these are scientist development awards. And the way that they differ is the following, is that the K25 is called quantitative because what that's looking for is career redirection for someone who has been in a quantitative STEM field with very little application to biomedical research. You can see the requirements here: less than 10 years from your terminal degree, significant effort focused to research, 3 to 4 years of support, which should be justified in the application itself. And I want to again emphasize that this is IC specific, and trying to share with you is that we have these 27 institutes and centers, and each one of us for a given mechanism could have our own requirements. Then we have analogous career awards for clinical degrees, and this is the K08 and the K23. And the difference here is that the K08 is for basic or bench research, whereas the K23 is actually for patient-oriented research. And here the terminal degree is considered to be your residency or fellow. Again, another IC-specific requirement is that the clinicians must have an active license. So we have made it through our postdoc, we have made it into our early career faculty, But let me digress maybe just a little bit, and let me tell you about some other mechanisms that we have which are considered supplements. And what's neat about these is that they can actually positively impact our career development across all stages. And the other thing too is that I'm sure many of you are thinking about your future students or your current students. First of all, what is a supplement? A non-competing award that provides additional funding to a current grant to meet increased costs that are within the scope of the approved project, but that were unforeseen when the newer competing grant was actually awarded. And so we have several different flavors here. The first one that I want to highlight is the diversity and health related research. And so this is to enhance the diversity of the research workforce. And this can support students, postdoctorates, even eligible investigators. Another aspect of diversity on this mechanism is that it can also support PIs of research grants who are or become disabled. We have re-entry mechanisms to support individuals with high potential to re-enter after re-enter an active research career after an interruption for family responsibilities or other qualifying circumstances. And this is to prepare someone re-entering to then be able to be eligible and competitive for a career award, the Ks that I just told you about, or even a research award. We have a supplement to promote research continuity and retention across the career awards, the Ks. This is to facilitate retention or, retention of K awardees who may have experienced critical life events during their award that have slowed down their progress. And similarly, we have another continuity award, and this is for first-time recipients of NIH research projects where the investigator may have faced critical life events and they're getting ready to transition to their first renewal or a second award. Things may have slowed down a little bit and they need a little bit of help with continuity. This is not exactly a supplement, but the loan repayment program also facilitates our career success by addressing educational debt. And this does not require NIH grant support. However, it is focused on individuals who are interested in pursuing a research career. So with that really gets us through the training mechanisms. However, based on the questions that were submitted, we also wanted to provide a bit more information of once you have a training mechanism that has helped you be successful through your career path, what's next? And many of you probably know that what's next is research project grants. So each of these serves a particular purpose, and this is probably the most famous of them all, the R01. And you can see it is for a circumscribed research project that's well defined. You have preliminary data to show the feasibility of it. You can see the budget and the duration. And then again, to emphasize, each institute and center may have its own requirements. The NIBIB funds R01s for only 4 years, but they are renewable. Another mechanism that you may have heard about is the R03, which is a small grant program. This is a self-contained project. It might be data analysis of already acquired data, maybe acquire some pilot data or do methods development, and you can see the budget and duration. The R21 is one that I'm sure you've probably heard about as well, and this is for breakthrough research. It is typically high risk with the potential of high impact, and you need to be careful on these because this particular mechanism right here, again, links here, you cannot have any preliminary data. No preliminary data, must not include preliminary data. If you do, you are non-compliant with the FOA. So you have been warned. Here you can see the budget as well as the duration. And we don't like to think of these as starter grants because you could be a senior faculty member and all of a sudden you see your lab is going to be going in a new direction of research that is high risk and potentially high impact, and an R21 would be appropriate. Now, having said all of that, NIBIB also has an R21 Trailblazer, and this in fact is for new and early stage investigators. So let's stop here and address what that is because we got a question about that. An early stage investigator is within 10 years of their PhD and have not won NIH funding. A new investigator might be beyond that 10-year period from their PhD, but similarly, they have not won significant NIH funding. And you can see that this is actually an enhanced R21. It has a slightly larger budget and longer direction, but it is still shares the commonality of high risk, but also potentially high impact. You will note that minimal or no preliminary data, all right? And what does that mean? If you're going to include preliminary data, it's not yet published and it needs to be limited to 1/2 page. And again, on the R21s, we are not the primary science contact. However, the links that I have provided here will take you directly to our pages, and you can find the scientific program officers to contact if you are interested in these mechanisms. Excellent. So we have made it into our faculty careers, and I want to take you through our last little set of mechanisms here. Some are still in the lab, but then some that you might lead are ones that will help you lead efforts across your department or across the entire university to help with training. So, you know, potentially you decide that you would like to go to a smaller institution because that's how you feel like you can have the biggest impact on students, the next generation of biomedical engineers, and as well as have the best research program that you want. And so what you might want to keep an eye on is R15s, or Research Enhancement Awards. These support small-scale research projects at domestic academic institutions that are not major recipients of NIH support. And the NIBIB has 2 flavors, the area and the REAP. The area is focused on undergraduate research, or including undergraduates in participating in laboratory research, whereas REAP is focused on graduate schools and health professionals. Now, the goals that they share is to support meritorious research, expose students to research, and strengthen the research environment of the institution itself. To start in very briefly on the mechanisms where if you are leading these or have the opportunity to participate in them, they're actually more across either the department or potentially the entire university. So 2 that we have are R25s, which are research education programs. And this is to support research education activities that complement and or enhance training of a workforce to meet the nation's biomedical research needs. The first one that I would like to highlight is Esteemed, Enhancing Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Educational Diversity. And this is actually focused on the early preparation of undergraduates in bioengineering or related STEM fields. And so this is trying to target freshman and sophomore years to give them a really strong start through the rest of the curriculum. The one that I have the honor of working on is related to team-based design. And so many of us out there, if you're from an engineering department, you probably had a senior design class. And so this mechanism is to either establish new or enhance existing undergraduate team-based design courses. And so although we might actually think about this more in the junior and senior year, we're really trying to introduce design earlier in careers because it's that hands-on aspect of engineering that many of us love. And if you happen to be involved in the undergraduate training of design teams, then you may also have the opportunity to lead undergraduate teams in this design challenge, which is all credit to Zeynep for getting started. And it is amazing. This is debut, designed by biomedical undergraduate teams, and it challenges undergraduate teams to develop technology solutions for unmet needs in any area of healthcare. You can see our number of prizes as well as our partners. And the deadline has passed, but we will be announcing winners in August, and the awards are usually given at the Biomedical Engineering Society in the fall. T32s, which many of you are probably on, your directors may be on the call as well. This takes us back to Dr. Kirstein, and this is an institutional research training grant. It is to support pre-doctoral as well as postdoctoral research training. And if you ever lead one of these, then typically it is associated with some subject matter that is specific or unique to your particular university. But there is something that you can be doing now. You can go and look in Reporter and see what T32s you might have at an institution that you're headed off to, potentially to do your PhD or your postdoc. So in closing out here, I hope that I've had the opportunity to highlight how NIH and NIBIB supports diversity in the workforce. And I like to highlight it here again, simply because as people associated with biomedical research, we're used to translating between scientific subjects, and therefore I think that we are perfectly placed to also facilitate communication amongst diverse communities. And so here are some of the mechanisms that I talked about from NIBIB across the career span. And then just to give examples, this is certainly not a complete list, and this is focused mostly on the central nervous system. This is Brain and Blueprint, but again, demonstrating support of a diverse workforce across the career span. And why diversity is so important, we now know there's plenty of data out there that shows that you have to have a diverse team to get the best product possible. And that is particularly important in healthcare, which leads me to tell you just briefly, because we had one or two questions about this, is that yes, the NIBIB does have a small business program. It's not going to be a focus of our conversation today per se, but I've provided the links as well as the scientific contacts. And this is for our small business innovation research and small business technology transfer programs. And I want to be mindful of the time here. I think we have 1 minute left. So we added these slides because we did get a couple questions about other mechanisms that were available in early stage career of faculty. And this is the high risk, high reward research programs. There are 4 of them, but the 2 that I'm going to highlight today that are about early stage is the Early Independence Award. And this supports outstanding junior scientists who may be prepared to actually bypass the traditional postdoctoral training period. You can see the requirements here. We are not the primary scientific contacts, but you can find them in the links I've provided. And I want to encourage you, because the due date is September 4th, that if you think you will be competitive, go for it. Similarly, this is the New Innovator Award. This supports exceptionally creative early career investigators. Here are the requirements, as well as the links to find the scientific contacts. And again, the due date is coming up in August. So with that, I'll give you just a breather for half a second, but I do want to review some key questions that I hope that we've been able to communicate to you today. And they are all grant mechanisms offered by each IC? Does each IC have the same requirements for a given grant mechanism? How far in advance should you submit an inquiry to have a reasonable chance of receiving a response? And hopefully I covered all 3 of those clearly. And then as a 4th bonus, who should be your closest ally when developing your proposal? And so I hope you realize that no, all grant mechanisms are not offered by each IC. You need to look at the FOA to see the, funding opportunity announcement to see which institutes participate. And I hope that I've also shared with you that each institute may have different requirements for a given mechanism. Please reach out to us early. We want to help you with the inquiry because we want you to have the best fit to the institute that you're submitting to, because that'll give you a higher probability of success, but it needs to come to us early. And finally, I would just like to emphasize that your closest ally when developing proposals should be your advisor or a designated mentor for early faculty. Mentorship in grant writing is critical. So your homework after this is done is to go and read the FOAs. And this is not just for you, but it's also for your future students. We've provided some links that we consider home base for NIH overall, grants.gov, as well as the NIBIB home website. And out of these, I want to emphasize the regional seminars are still being given. They're being given online, and this might be a great opportunity for you to actually attend one. And the second thing I wanted to point out here is Matchmaker. This is an amazing tool where you can actually copy and paste your specific aims into a text box, and it'll help you find institutes that have funded funded proposals that share common words or phrases in your specific aims. And I think I'm going to go ahead and stop there because we want to make sure that there's plenty of time for Q&A. And let me gather my thoughts just a little bit. And let's see if we have, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing just so I can pull up a couple of other documents and also catch up on what's been going on in the chat. So Zainab, would you recommend, shall we just go to the questions that we have currently coming in, or would you like me to start with some of the bigger bucket ones that we had talked about through the previously submitted questions?
Yeah, maybe start with them, and then I was going to suggest we have quite a bit of COVID questions, so maybe we could table those and get back to the applicants about them, as they're not really training questions, and we do have a lot of training questions as well.
That sounds great.
If you're ready, we can start with, you know, some of the submitted questions, just because people took the time to submit them, like you said.
That sounds great. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to submit your questions in advance, because it did help us shape our slides. And so the first bucket of questions, we started to see common themes. And this first theme, I've decided to describe it as making it happen. And so these were questions about, when do I go for an R01? When do I apply for a faculty position? When do I submit my first NIH grant? And then potentially related to that was questions about transitioning from the postdoc to the assistant professor. I really appreciate these questions. You're going to be unsatisfied with my first sentence, but bear with me, and we will address it. So there is no one size fits all to these questions. And so when you go for your first R01 or when you apply for a faculty position, can be very dependent on the institutions that you're looking at, your own field. If it's a field where universities are interested in growing their professorship, that might accelerate when you want to apply for a faculty position. To direct when you apply for an R01, there should be strong preliminary data suggesting the feasibility of the topic and that you have the scientific leadership to lead the team to make it successful. I do think that it's valuable to start getting feedback on how your grants are being reviewed. The summary statements that you will get back, I have always found to be incredibly thoughtful as well as helpful. When do you apply for a faculty position? It could be directly after an F32. If in your postdoctoral training you start falling in love with another subject matter that is pretty tangential to what you were doing in either your pre-doc or your postdoc, then that could be considered a career redirection, and maybe a K award would be appropriate first. So I hope that gives you some tangible things to kind of grasp onto that we covered in the talk to answer that question about the transition point and when to start applying for funding. And I will ask, because this is a really big picture question, if Zeynep would like to add anything there.
I think you did a great job.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to point, would Ahmad or Zeynep, would you like to point out any questions from the chat that we should tackle right now?
Well, I mean, it's hard to organize them really, so I'm going to just offer some from, you know, just sequentially. Does the institute, the student or postdoc applies to need to match or align with Institute of the PI's funding?
This, I apologize. So was this about an F or was this about an F?
I assume so. They're asking about a student or postdoc.
Okay, I find this question to be actually an excellent one, especially for us who do biomedical research. The lab that you're in could have actually started off very heavily in tech development, in which case their early grants may have been through NIBIB. And then as that tech development develops, then they may have gone out into, say, cancer or NCI, National Cancer Institute, or NHLBI, Heart, Lung, and Blood, or NINDS, because the tech development was specific to something in the central nervous system. However, if when you join that lab, you are now focusing on something, that new technology development in that lab, then NIBIB might be appropriate for your fellowship, even though your PI's funding is now from a different center.
Yeah, I agree. And I'd like to say that normally we don't really look at the PI's funding. Each application is viewed on its own. So if the specific aims of the student's application is relevant to us, it doesn't matter that the PI has a grant from another IC. Likewise, the PI could be supported by us, but it doesn't mean, like Joan was referring to, that we would fund something that has moved on to applying that technology to a specific disease or organ. So Here's one question. Is artificial intelligence research considered basic science, K08? I think the question is it K08 or K23?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to take a stab at this, but I'm also going to ask Zainab to back me up here, is that if it's, I could imagine it being either. So if it's artificial intelligence and you're trying to apply machine learning or to, oh gosh, what do I want to say, a genetic database that you have or some such thing, I could imagine that being in the K08. However, if you are somehow tied into direct patient data that you might be getting coming in from either a patient database that's in your university hospital or a clinical trial that you're associated with, then I think that that could be in the K23.
Yes, exactly. The difference really between K08 and K23 is, are you interacting with the patients and are you involved in their healthcare and are you collecting the data yourself? So it could really be the same data that you are collecting or you're looking at, but in one case, if you're getting it, say, from a data bank and you have no interaction with the patient at all, that would be more relevant to a K08, whereas if you are getting the data from your own patients, or they don't have to be your own patients, but if you are getting the data, then it would be a K23. So how many years of postdoctoral qualification break do PA 18-592 consider? So I believe, so Nusra asked this question, so if we're interpreting it wrong, let us know, but I think the question is about how many years of postdoc can you have before you can apply to an F-32?
Oh, okay. So this is a great question. And honestly, I'm still learning this as well, is that the F-32s, and is this in juxtaposition to say K awards? Are we thinking?
I think it's just for eligibility for an F-32.
Absolutely. So I would say it's 1, 2, or 3 years. And so if you really hit the ground running, you could apply in your first year. Please remember that on that particular slide, so the F-32 by NIBIB does expect you to have a strong relationship with your postdoc mentor. So you'll have the opportunity to build a strong research plan, and there's a very functional relationship that is there to help you with your career development. The F-32 brain is slightly different. And that's why I highlighted those requirements on those slides itself.
Great. And there's a question here that I'm going to answer quickly so John can take a sip of water or something. What are the percentage of applicants being funded according to latest statistics? So these are, a wide range of statistics. Each mechanism can have its own data, and whatever is available for public sharing is shared with the community through NIH Reporter and nih.report.gov. So if you go there, you can see statistics about each IC, each mechanism. So you can have all sorts of statistics to look at. So getting back to the T32, the NRSAs really, do the time limits for T32/F fellowships reset between predoctoral and postdoctoral fellowships, or are they cumulative?
They are actually cumulative. And when you go to the FOAs themselves, there are specific limitations for the pre-doc and there are specific limitations for the postdoc. And for some reason, I think the postdoc is the one that actually sticks in my brain. So don't hold me to this, but I believe that for a postdoc, you can have, it's less than 3 years of cumulative. So there are limitations for both the pre-doc and the postdoc, and then total overall.
Right. And I, sorry, I was looking at the questions for a second. Did we say that they're like about 6 years for the total? So if somebody has gotten P32 at the predoctoral level and postdoctoral level, the combination shouldn't go over that.
Should not go over 6 years.
Can we jump back to one question that was asked in the chat?
Sure.
So how many years of the postdoctoral qualification break? That was in regards to the reentry supplements?
Oh, okay. Oh, I see now. Okay. Did you get that, Joan?
I did not. Go ahead and may I ask you to go ahead and take that one, Zainab?
Sure. So all these kinds of information can be found in the program announcements, and the program announcements can be found through our website, or you can just type NIH reentry supplement and you will come up with an FOA. I believe it's 7 years is the break for the reentry supplement. So it's like what they call it, nomenclature is hiatus. So you need to have been away from research within 1 to 7 years. So it can't be less than 1 or greater than 7. And you have to have been a postdoc at least at that time. And again, I'm speaking out of memory, so that 1 year and 7 year may be like plus or minus, but definitely you can find the information through our website. Like if you go under supplements that we support, you will see diversity supplements, reentry supplements, continuity supplements. So follow the links and you'll get there.
And if I can just add, just to reiterate, is that, again, all of those hyperlinks that I put into these slides will take you directly to our pages, which provide good information. And then down at the bottom, there will be links to the funding opportunity announcements that Zainab is referring to, which has even more details. And by reviewing those, when you contact us, we can have a much more effective and efficient less time-consuming conversation to really help you get going.
Yes, and as an example of that, I actually looked up the answer to the next question to be able to give you the correct answer. So the citizenship criteria for our 21 Trailblazer. I went to the eligibilities, I Googled NIH Trailblazer and came to our website and then looked at the program announcement from there, and the eligibility criteria says nothing about citizenship. So you need to be an ESI, early stage investigator, but there doesn't seem to be any citizenship question. I think I'm going to take the next question too, because it's about esteemed. What is the typical size of esteemed grants? So esteemed actually just got reissued, and we're about to put up FAQs so that you can get more idea about various components and aspects of the program. In terms of size, we are proposing 4 to 8 applicants a year to be funded. So after the first year, you would be at 8 to 16 because it's a 2-year program that supports students in their freshman and sophomore years. So will
there was
small...
one question about the NIBIB R01. Is it 4 years support only or up to 4 years?
It's up to 4 years. So will small part of overlapped objectives be allowed between career development grant, i.e. K99R00, and research grant, i.e. R01? So I think the question is like for a K99 awardee moving on to an R01, is there some overlap allowed between the two?
That is evaluated during review as well as submission, and I think the objectives should be distinct. There may be that one obviously probably builds on the other, but the objectives of the research grants themselves do need to be distinct.
Right, and I'd like to add that you know, NIBIB or NIH really will not fund the same work twice, but there's definitely going to be some overlap, as Joan mentioned. That's really the purpose of the K99 R00 to lead to your next R01. So if you are moving the study forward, there's no concern. If somehow you won't have some overlap, then you can terminate the R00 earlier if you want to move on to the R01. So I've got one question. Can the PowerPoint slide used in the presentation today be shared somewhere? So I'll let you.
Happily.
I received one question also, if we're ready to move on.
Yes, Aman.
Is it possible to apply for K99 and F32 at the same time? Does applying for F32 may hurt already submitted K99 application?
I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to let Zainab lead us off on this.
Actually, I'm sorry. I was trying to see where I left off in the chat. I didn't hear the question.
No problem. Can someone submit an F32 and a K99 simultaneously? And how does it affect how they're viewed?
Okay. So it may be technically possible, but I would highly discourage you from doing that, because when you come to us with an application, you're saying this is the path I want to take, and this is how I thought out my career, and this is what I'm going to do. If you come in with two separate applications, we really lose the focus, like what is it that you're trying to do, because the F32 and K99 really have different goals, and we don't really like the approach of, is this a lottery ticket? You buy as many as you can, and then, you know, whichever one fits. The real appropriate way I would recommend is if you think F32 may be more closer to you, start with the F32, get funded during your your F32 postdoctoral period, probably the more early stages of your career, and then you can start working towards your K99. So we expect people to at least spend a year in their F32 before moving on to a K99. You can obviously come directly without an F32 and apply for a K99. There's no problem there. But if we've already supported you for an F32, we expect that you will be on it for at least a year, which generally works out because the review cycle is about 9 months anyway. So when you put in an application, it's going to take at least 9 months to be able to fund it for it. I'm going to let Ahmad choose the next question.
Next question, for the DP5, is research staff position prior to faculty position maintain eligibility? Does it maintain eligibility?
I didn't hear what position?
Sorry, so is a research staff position prior to a faculty position, does that maintain the eligibility for a DP5?
I believe so. I believe you must not have started a faculty position by then. But again, that is not a mechanism that NIBIB directly funds. So we are going to get back to you with some answers, especially if we don't have time to go through all of the questions today. So we will include that in there. And again, you could just say NIH DP5, find the FOA, and just, there's a table of contents towards the top of each of these FOAs, and you can just click on eligibility. It will take you there, and it will describe. And if you're ever in a position where you don't know if your situation fits within the stated description of the FOA, you can scroll down or do Control F, just search for the word contact, agency contacts, and that will lead you to either one person for DP5, like initiatives like that may have one person, or it will lead to a page with all the ICs and who is the contact for that mechanism at that IC, and you can just send them a message, with your specific aims, like Joan has been emphasizing, and your biosketch or CV, and then ask your question.
And I apologize if I can just jump in here, because perhaps not surprisingly, having arrived in March, I've been doing a lot of learning from the other side of things, not as a PI, but now having the honor of working at NIH. The table of contacts, or the scientific contacts that Zeynep refers to in those funding opportunity announcements, are a great resource. The table of contacts themselves, literally, if you click on it in a given FOA for that mechanism, like the K01, it will take you to a website that then has the scientific contacts listed for all of the institutes. So you can literally just do Control F NIBIB, and you're going to find me there. If it happens to be NINDS, if they participate in it, you can find it there. And sorry, I'm trying to read through some of the questions here too.
Yeah.
So we are recording the session, and we will hopefully make it share the video of everyone. That was a question. So the next question, for the K01/K25, can the other program-related expenses include support for a graduate student or postdoc?
Typically not, because these are individual career development awards, and so it's a period of mentorship for yourself. And so there would be some question as to whether you're in a good position to necessarily mentor somebody yourself if you're receiving mentorship for this new area.
So that is completely true. The only time we might allow some of that is like if there's maybe 10% of a research assistant or a postdoc that you want to support, say, just to do your analysis, and if that somehow ties in with their own research program. So we would really be wanting to look out for both that postdoc to be really getting a correct, appropriate training and be able to be funded, and also, your work will get done. But again, we would not support a full-time pre-doc or postdoc, or, the funds wouldn't allow that anyway. But that is kind of the only time we would allow it.
Sounds good.
Ahmad, are you going to choose the next question?
Yeah, I'm just going in order. So one question about a diversity supplement and maintaining compliance with it. How do I maintain diversity outreach if the labs are closed? I had promised starting a diversity program that has been canceled due to COVID.
I would be happy. So some ideas come to mind for me, and we do recognize, we've had the honor of talking with PIs across all these mechanisms to figure out what's going on in their neck of the woods. Understood. There might be opportunities still, because most universities have summer programs associated with STEM that may also be related to diverse groups of students. And so is there a way that you can tap into the resources that are already available on your campus to do outreach to diverse communities of students? And admittedly, much of this may be online this summer or for the foreseeable future. And so rather than recreating the wheel, I would encourage you to either start at the department level or at the College of Engineering level, depending on what college you're in at your university, to figure out what summer programs are actually going to be offered, and is there an opportunity for you to somehow participate in those.
Sounds good. Can you guys hear me well? I think some people are complaining they can't hear me.
It could be louder, but I can hear you.
Okay. The next question, how much does the preferred IC matter in an application? How often are grant proposals transferred / assigned to a different IC?
I'm not sure of the percentage, but based on my experience, we take those inquiries extremely seriously. And if we actually personally have contacts at an IC that we're recommending that you go to, we will actually provide you that name and point you in that direction, saving you at least one step. And so I don't know if Zainab can give you a firm percentage about how often we transfer things between ICs.
Right. So there are some applicants who don't follow our advice and who don't approach us beforehand. So that really happens, the transfer would really happen if they applied cold, as we call it, without contacting anybody, just figuring maybe, oh, I'm a bioengineer, so, you know, NIBIB is the right IC for me. So in that case, if your bioengineering efforts are, say, all related towards finding some kind of solution to some cancer of any kind, it really should have gone to NCI. So at that point, even if we get the application, the CSR, the Center for Scientific Review, which inputs all the applications, may not assign it to us, even if you ask for it. Or if they assign it for us, because these nuances are very subtle and they change over time. Sometimes CSR may assign it to us, but then when we look at it, we would say, no, this is really appropriate for NCI, and then it would get transferred to NCI. In most cases, if the mechanism is like R01 or R21, this may not be very critical, but especially in training awards where, as Joan kept emphasizing, each IC has their own rules, and there are a lot of IC-specific restrictions on training grants. So if you have prepared a training grant, say a K award, thinking it would come to us because it's bioengineering, and we decide that it's not us, but cancer, then you may have prepared all that application for NCI based on our rules. So it really is in your interest to find out before preparing the whole application which IC it has the best fit to. So then you can both gauge the specific aims and the whole application towards their interest and mission areas, and also make sure that you abide by the rules that they have on the specific mechanism you're applying to.
And may I just follow that up, because I saw some chat. So I struggled with this as well. It took me, I think, a week after arriving to figure out what IC was. It is Institute and Center. So sorry about that, you guys. You quickly move into acronyms. And may I actually follow that up, Zainab, by answering another bucket or theme of questions that we received previously?
Sure, and we are over time right now, but we're happy to go until 3. So let's get through as much as we can.
Sounds good. So I wanted to follow that up in relationship to, again, emphasizing that every institute and center really has a lot of autonomy. And so the other bucket of questions, or another theme that we saw in the preliminary questions, was about review criteria or the process. And it was about the percentages that are assigned, and how does that affect whether your award is given. And so based on what you've heard today, you're probably not going to be surprised that the answer to this is that each institute and center, they have different pay lines, and how much each IC weighs that percentile differently. Along those lines, we also got questions on how much preliminary data do you need to have to be competitive for, say, like an R01. And that comes down to enough to convince the reviewers that it is a feasible project, and that you can lead the team of researchers that is going to be doing the work. A corollary to that, and I like this question a lot because sometimes it's good to ask the negative, which is which are the most likely factors that will contribute to applicants not getting funded? And really, again, that comes down to, if there's lack of clarity about the significance of your research, in the research plan itself lacks clarity, and therefore the reviewers can't quite evaluate whether it's feasible or whether you are the right person to actually lead the team. That can be challenging and is usually reflected in the reviewer's comments and summary statement. Do you guys have some other ones that are on the fly here that we should tackle?
We can keep going down the list.
Yeah.
So the next two questions are about K99. So can an early investigator / research associate apply for a K99/R00 grant?
May I ask Zainab to take that?
Actually, I couldn't hear it. Ahmad, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry. Can an early investigator / research associate apply for K99/R00 grant?
So research associate is kind of an in-between position that means different things according to, at different institutions. So normally the criteria really is, first there's the eligibility window for the K99 that you have to fit, but other than that, you have to be in a dependent position. So what we want to find out is the nature of the research associate, like what does it mean in your case. So Joan mentioned we have this eligibility forms for each of the Ks. And for the K99, at the end of the K99 questions, there's a table we have which is asking you a lot of questions about, have you received startup funds? Can you hire and fire your own personnel? Do you have your own space that you decide what kind of research you're going to do in there? So if you send us that information, having checked, true, false for each of those questions as it applies to your case, then we can let you know if we would consider you eligible for the K99.
Cool. So another eligibility question coming from a postdoctoral research associate. I have changed the field after my first postdoc, 1.5 years. My new fields took some time to achieve results. Now I'm in my 5th year of postdoctoral research. Can I apply for the K99?
Well, I just started, sorry.
Please.
So yeah, this is an issue, again, that is very IC dependent. So, and case dependent. So we would have to take a look at your bio sketch and see what you're trying to do. Normally, we don't extend the eligibility window for changing research areas. We do extend it for issues like health reasons, you had a break, you had a baby, you had to take care of a sick parent or something, then we apply, we give you an extension to extend your eligibility window for the K99. But again, that's very case and IC dependent, so I would say contact us and we'll see what we can do. Ahmad?
Sorry, I'm scrolling.
No, that's okay. I can jump in here. Let me jump in with a couple of quick ones because I also appreciated them and they also help to reiterate looking at those funding opportunity announcements. Is one of the questions that we got is whether NIH actually provides funds for nonprofits. And again, I would refer you to the funding opportunity announcements. So look in the K01, look in the K25, et cetera, because indeed, under eligibility of the institution, it often does include a nonprofit. Now, the nonprofit obviously would need to be biomedical research related, but I hope that that answers that question. And then we also had another one that I think is also right up the alley of biomedical research and what we do, and that was our collaborations between universities that are non-biomedical focused and hospitals encouraged and successful in receiving funding. You're gonna love this. 2 words that we always love to hear in an answer. It depends. But In general, yes, because I think that what this question is alluding to is maybe a really engineering-focused institution collaborating with a hospital and biomedical. But the engineering portion really needs to demonstrate that they have had biomedical exposure and experience. And then whenever you're dealing with multiple institutions on an award, it's important to communicate how viable the working relationship is. And one way that this can be exemplified often is by previous collaborative work that has led to co-authored publications. And so I hope that that answers that question as well.
So the next question is referring to a K01. How much research expenses should be allocated under the other program-related expenses?
Do you want me to take it, John?
I did write down some figures here. Is for the K01 and the K25. Right now, it is listed as less than 90K of salary per year, and then less than 40K research expenses per year.
So that would be, the 40K is the limit for the research. Next question.
Cool, so this is regarding a K25. Would a transition to clinically relevant research from previous engineering applications in basic biology be an appropriate redirection for a K25?
Zainab, you take this one only because I think you can say it more clearly than I can.
So it depends. That seems to describe to me a real career redirection. So it could be considered the K01. If somebody really has a lot of biomedical experience, we may not want to consider it K25, but it really is not a very important issue. So whether it's a K01 or K25 only means something for our accounting and kind of categorizing what kind of PIs we're supporting. But the funds really are not separately allocated, at least at the NIBIB. So ask us about it so that you apply for the appropriate mechanism, definitely. But it's not a very sensitive question.
Next question is about a diversity supplement. Does the citizenship requirement apply to the parent PI applicant or to the supported awardee? New faculty, postdoc, or both?
Do you want it, John, or?
Go for it, because I want to make sure that I don't say something wrong here.
Okay, so it applies only to the candidate. The parent is already, funded. That's an active grant. So, but the diversity supplement funds are allocated to either citizens or permanent residents. And I don't know of any mechanism at the NIH that allows citizens but doesn't allow permanent residents. So if it allows U.S. citizens, it generally allows permanent residents also. Next.
Cool. So back to K99. I would like to ask about when does the NIBIB expect a K99 awardee to get the assistant professor offer? Is it okay to have a gap between the K99 and R00 phases?
I can answer the first part and then I'll punt it to Zainab, which is, again, typically the K99 is 2 years and you need to be in the K99 for at least a year. And then there can be an award of the assistant professor level. I'm uncertain, and I'll let Zainab answer the question about whether there can be a gap between the two.
Yes, so ideally not, but if there's some issue, especially right now with COVID, we know that most institutions have frozen their hiring. So definitely for that, but also for other reasons, if you haven't found a position at the end of the 2 years, we can give you a no-cost extension and give you some time to find an appropriate position, but it would be a no-cost extension, so you would need to have other means of supporting yourself, or your mentor needs to have it, the lab needs to have it to provide you support in the interim. Or if the K99 still has funds in it, you can use those. Next.
Next question. Are postdocs considered early stage investigators? Are they eligible to apply for the R21 Trailblazer?
Let me know.
Please, but yes, I think that is possible.
It is Go ahead.
Sorry, I apologize. It's going to be dependent on your institution as well, whether they're willing, whether your own university is willing to submit grants for you while at that level.
Right. So technically for NIH, it's not a problem, but like John said, most institutions will consider the postdoc only a temporary position, so they will not let you apply for a multi-year grant that expects you to be at that institution for a while, for a long time. Next.
So it's about the review of K grants. Are all K grants evaluated together using a single evaluation system, or each specific K grant has its own evaluation system and is evaluated independently?
So the Ks are evaluated at the institute itself. And the reason why I took you through that slide of common elements between the K awards is that is literally taken from a slide deck that actually prepares us for the review session itself. And then you just need to remember that for the K01 and the K25, there's slightly different nuances to the career direction itself, just like the K08 and the K23. But again, like Zeynep said, and we're trying to emphasize, is that if you can contact us early, those are small questions relative to whether you really need to have this mentored period of time. And so they are all bundled and reviewed together based on those common elements that I highlighted.
So just a quick correction, it's Ks are reviewed by the IC for us. That's IC dependent again. Some ICs get reviewed at CSR, but we are a small IC and we are really hands-on in the training division. So we want to really run these meetings, review panels the way we like and put the appropriate emphasis on the technology development. And we don't get so many, so one panel is enough to combine all of our K applications.
Cool. So the next question is back to the K99s. Can you explain the exceptions to the 4-year for K99 grants?
The one that I'm most familiar with is if there has been a child arrives into your life during that period of time, then that is one of the most common extensions that I've seen since arriving at NIBIB. And Zeynep, do you want to add the others?
I really don't want to provide a list other than it should be something out of your control, really. If you felt like taking some time to engage in other activities, that's not the idea behind the K99. The K99's goal is really to get you to research independence as quickly as possible. So if that was not your focus and intention, then we would consider all the time between your first postdoc and the application period as contributing to the eligibility window. And again, that is very IC dependent also, so you really need to contact the program director and explain what the situation is. And different program directors, different ICs may have different approaches to that.
So staying with the K99, is it possible to reduce 100% requested effort to 75% after notification of a K99 award?
Zeynep, I'll let you take this one.
Okay, so I'm assuming this is a person that put down that they were going to do 100% in their application and then wants to reduce to 75. If it was 75% to begin with, there would have been no issue, as the all of the K awards allow for 75%. That's the minimum. So if it was 100% to begin with, and now you want to reduce to 75%, again, you can contact your program director and explain what the situation is. If it's generally something that is going to contribute to your research career at NIBIB, we would allow for it. We might adjust your budget accordingly. But what we really would not like to see is that you want to do something in a very dependent way that's not going to contribute to your career development, but just help out the PI of the lab or something like that. So as long as it's something that is opening up new areas for you, giving you new experiences, NIBIB would not have an issue with that.
Can you please tell us a little bit about the BRAIN Initiative Diversity K99 at NIBIB? How many awards will be granted in 2020 and 2021?
I'll punch you, Zainab.
Actually, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if it's set in ahead of time, so it all depends on availability of funds. And again, that is a mechanism that we wanted to let you know that it's available, because most or a lot of engineers do brain-related technology development that would make you eligible for those. But we are not the managers of that initiative, so it's really in your best interest to contact the listed point of contact there and ask them that question.
So we have a follow-up to an earlier question about the diversity supplement and maintaining compliance with diversity outreach in their lab due to COVID canceling the program. As a follow-up, can I use funding from the grant to set up a program, or should I only go through other departments?
Zainab, I'm going to ask you to take this one, because I think there's a knot tied in my brain about what exactly is being asked here, and I don't want to speak completely incorrectly.
Right. I'm not sure what is asked also, because generally outreach isn't a big component of diversity supplements. So if it was something you mentioned in passing that this is a focus for you and we said, great, do that, then I wouldn't be too worried that you are not able to do it. And Joan actually answered some of this earlier. There may be other ways of doing that outreach right now. Yeah, if you have further questions, just write to us directly and describe the situation. Next.
Sorry, I'm still scrolling.
No, that's okay. And I was looking I do have to say that I think that we've largely covered the previously submitted questions. The others were about COVID, and I feel like Dr. Tromberg was able to actually answer those fairly well, that everything that was going on before is continuing, and there were additional funds for COVID. So I think that we've covered the large buckets of what we received previously.
Great. Ahmad, are there any submitted today that we haven't gotten to?
There's still a few. Do you want to continue, or?
Okay, we have like 7 minutes. Let's go on for 7 minutes. Cool. And then wrap up.
Can a K awardee apply for R21 and R01 at the second year of his or her K award before ending the K award?
Zainab.
Yeah, so you can always apply. What you can't do is, or let me put it this way, what you can also do in the last 2 years of your K award is that you can reduce your effort. So we just mentioned that all K awards require at least 75% effort. If you are awarded an R21 or an R01 as the PI of the grant, not as some collaborator, but if you're the PI of the grant, you can count that research effort towards the 75. So if you say we're supported at 75%, and now you have an R21 that covers you for 10%, you can go down to 65% on the K, and you can do that down to 50%. So we won't allow you to go below 50%, but until then you can have other additional research RPG funding, and that's actually, you know, the ultimate goal, and we would encourage that.
Another question is, how long does it take to get the first score or feedback on a grant? For example, if it submits June, when may we hear back from the NIH?
Almost, well, sorry, at least I love this question. At least in my experience, but this was for our grants, is somehow I usually submitted in October and I didn't hear back until February. So so what is that? November, December, January, February. So maybe 4 to 5 months. Zainab, is that ever really reduced at all?
Yeah, so what happens is each mechanism has a window that it has to complete the review in. So like Joan was saying, if you submit it in February, there's a window which I won't be able to come up with right now, but say from September till January or something like that, that the review panel needs to be held. Where exactly in that window your review panel is going to fall is really random and just depends on the availability of the reviewers that the SRO happen to choose. So it could be toward the beginning of the that cycle, and then you can get your applications, your reviews fairly soon. And it could be at the very end, which in some cases would mean that you wouldn't be able to resubmit an application for the next cycle because you have to have the summary statement of the previous application to be able to submit a resubmission. So one thing that I can mention is that if you have some special case, like your eligibility window is running out, you really want to submit for the next cycle before your eligibility runs out, and the review panel has been held, but you haven't received the summary statements yet, you can contact the SRO, or maybe better to contact the program director, and the program director can contact the SRO to see if they can move your application or your summary statement to the top of their docket so you can get those critiques earlier to allow you to apply to the next cycle.
Awesome. Hey, Ahmad, can I jump in here just because I saw the last question that came up that I think I did a poor job of actually introducing the K01s and K25s. I alluded to career redirection, but I didn't quite really suss it out for the K01. You know, sometimes examples actually help out here. So again, the K01 and the K25 are for PhDs, and there is a career redirection component to it. So if I can give you an example, just because I love biomechanics, and I need new cartilage in my knees. So let's say that I was a biomechanist that was really focused on cartilage and understanding the material properties of it. And then somehow I start drifting into the therapeutic side of things. And now I want to do something that is going to modify how the cartilage cells are actually spitting out some sort of protein to actually heal themselves and you know, give me a knee that can now sustain walking and running. And so it's really away from the mechanics and very much on, say, like plasmids or DNA production or protein production in cells. That would be potentially one example of a career redirection. And so it's somebody who has probably had biomedical research, but they are pivoting to another field and information that their original first field would maybe not be expected to know. And so I hope that answers your question on what a K01 is and gives you an example of a career redirection.
Great. So we're at 3 o'clock. I think it's time to wrap up. And what we can do is share Joan's slides with the people who have registered, whose emails we have. And also we can kind of put these questions together, and especially for the ones that have not been answered, provide answers and probably best ways to share those with you in email too. If we think of another better mechanism to share it with you, we'll let you know in email. Anything you want to add, Jo?
I just want to say thank you all very, very much. And I hope that our enthusiasm comes across online. And also thank you for allowing me to be new at this and allowing me to partner with Zeynep because we're committed to getting you the best information possible. And thanks a ton to Ahmad, who made this as smooth as he did. And Nova as well, our IT guru.
Right. We're very happy and lucky that the Tech Guys was with us today. Thank you very much for your participation, and I hope we got the point across that we're a friendly bunch, and just approach us with your questions and we'll do our best to guide you in the correct direction. Thank you very much and take care.